Hi everyone, welcome to the IoT Hero Show, my weekly showcase of thought leadership in the Internet of Things. My name is Tom Raftery, I'm the Global IoT Evangelist for SAP, and now, on with the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the IoT Hero Show. My name is Tom Raftery, I am the Global Evangelist for IoT for SAP, and with me on the show today I have John Bates. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Good to be here.
Thank you. John, for anyone who doesn't know, would you care to introduce yourself? Let's put it that way.
Certainly. So, John Bates, I served as the CEO of a company that called PLAT.ONE that in September SAP announced they had acquired. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. But in short, PLAT.ONE's application enablement platform that helps you to rapidly build and powerfully manage Internet of Things applications. And my background before that is I started off as a Cambridge academic, and then I got into the business world by starting the first company in the space that's now known as streaming analytics called Apama, which I was president and CTO of. That got acquired by Progress Software, and I moved to the Boston area to serve in Progress, which is a NASDAQ-listed public company. I ran a division of the company for a few years, became the fastest growing division, then I became corporate CTO. And actually, I ended up selling part of the Progress business to another German company called Software AG. Mm-hmm. So very experienced. I think I'm, I've got a special place being acquired by German companies, and had a very good time there, serving as CTO of big data and intelligent business operations, and then chief marketing officer before I left to become CEO of PLAT.ONE in the Internet of Things, which is an area I'm really passionate about. I wrote a book called Thingalytics, which is about smart big data for the Internet of Things and applications thereof in different industries and spaces. So that's me.
Interesting. Very good. Very good. Tell me a little bit about PLAT.ONE. What was the background behind that? What does it do for anyone who doesn't know?
Absolutely. Well, I was lucky enough to find PLAT.ONE. I was introduced by a mutual friend, and PLAT.ONE has incredible technology. And in fact, if you could be forgiven if you looked at the IoT space, where you see 250 IoT platforms that people like Gartner are tracking for thinking, wow, this is a crowded space. But actually, very few companies really have any depth of experience and really have any product at all. There are a few, and you've seen some of those few being acquired by people like ThingWorx being acquired by PTC, for example. Yep. But PLAT.ONE, I believed, having studied the space, had even better technology, say, than ThingWorx. And what PLAT.ONE enables you to do is, firstly, incredible machine interoperability. So talk to a wide range of different machines, different machine protocols, whether it be in the factory floor or the oil pipeline, or connected products. So everything from the kind of legacy machine-to-machine protocols like OPC or Modbus, Profibus, and so on, right up to date to the wired and wireless, MQTT, Zigbees, and the low-power Sigfoxes and LoRa's, and over 40 different protocols out of the box are supported. And that's just one piece of it. You've also got the ability to do what I call adaptive applications, in that sometimes you have applications where you want to talk directly from the cloud to the machines and devices. Sometimes you want to have capabilities at the edge, close to the devices. And what PLAT.ONE allows you to do through its microservices-based container architecture is place logic at the edge, at the cloud, or even on premise, and have that intelligently work together. So managing devices, collecting data from devices, managing rules, streaming rules, and logic connecting to big data. A thing model, which lets you abstract the complexities of devices, so you can talk about street lamps and trucks in a smart city rather than low-level protocols. And then you can build applications that are future-proofed. And finally, plugging those things together with an application modeler as well as open APIs, lets you rapidly build applications, which can have end-to-end security policies, role-based security, can do disconnected operation, all sorts of nice features for when you're building an IoT application. Build it quickly, the features are built in, it can manage it, it can future-proof it.
Awesome, awesome. And who would have been a typical customer of PLAT.ONE?
Well, great question, because of course there's so many areas of which IoT can benefit. You can be in danger of smearing yourself very thinly and not really getting traction in any one particular area. So we decided to focus in a number of areas. In Europe, we had quite a strong focus in smart cities.
Right.
And for example, T-Systems was white labeling our platform as their smart city platform. And we had a number of cities that were live. We did, for example, a project in Barcelona. We worked in Pisa is live with our running PLAT.ONE. We just, with T-Systems, just signed the city of Gijón in Spain, and we had a big pipeline of smart cities. And then also connected logistics. So we have, fortunately, can't name check them, but a global tire manufacturer who are doing connected tires, sensors in tires, talking to telematics boxes on board trucks and vehicles, then talking to a cloud backend, so that they can move from being a commodity tire manufacturer to a vendor of big data analytics. Wow. So, are your tires underinflated? Are you wasting money? Is it dangerous? Are your drivers driving dangerously? Or even, because we're tracking things like pressure, temperature, wear, you could do things like, don't buy the tires, lease them based on how much rubber you use on them. Right. So interesting models like that. And connected products was something we were really focusing on, particularly in the US. And we were working with a big contract manufacturer who'd selected us to be their connected products platform, and then we were working with a number of their customers to deliver, because everybody has to move from building products and designing products to designing and building connected products. So that was something that we spent a lot of time on. And one that I can name check is the biggest coffee machine manufacturer in Italy, La Cimbali, are now creating connected coffee machines that are connecting and managing their data via PLAT.ONE. So you can do a whole range of interesting things, from remote diagnosis to predictive maintenance to even coffee as a service and pay as you go, based on buying coffee by the cup rather than by the machine. So that's some of the kind of things that we were doing: connected products, smart logistics, and smart city.
Interesting. And I mean, you mentioned that PLAT.ONE was acquired by SAP last September, and acquisitions have different paths that they go. What happens to the customers now of PLAT.ONE?
Well, what the route? I mean, they're still customers today of the PLAT.ONE products, but the way we decided to handle it is PLAT.ONE for SAP get provided a lot of new or let's say leapfrog capabilities that they would have had to have built organically internally. And they wanted to particularly make these available through the cloud to the SAP, what was called HANA Cloud Platform, now called SAP Cloud Platform.
Yep.
And already PLAT.ONE is integrated. The first version of that software is now in the hands of SAP customers. So PLAT.ONE's available in the cloud backend as what's called the IoT services, and as part of an IoT foundation. And it also has an edge offering, which is quite nice to have as well. So that's already available now. As that becomes richer and more productized, so the customers will. The plan is to move them across to the SAP platform from the the PLAT.ONE product as it was when it was acquired. So that's the plan.
Okay, so going forward with PLAT.ONE, it becomes part of the SAP now Leonardo ecosystem.
Good point. Yes, Leonardo, exactly. So it provides part of the foundational layer inside Leonardo. So you've got your applications that are built on top of the Leonardo, if you like, foundation, and then within that foundation you've got a number of services both at the cloud backend and the edge application level services, of which PLATONE has obviously contributed, things like thing modelers and application builders. But of course, in a big company like SAP, there's a number of things that have to be sort of brought together, which has been done very efficiently. And then at the lower layer, PLATONE's providing the capabilities of the edge and device interoperability and so on. And so that's where it fits in. Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of the acquisition plugging holes in SAP's offering and in PLAT.ONE's offering, how do you see the fit?
Yeah, I think SAP went and looked at a lot of companies, as you can imagine, and one of the things about IoT is it's still very early, but SAP had enough customer touch points in their enormous customer base to know a lot of the requirements and the gaps that they had, and PLAT.ONE I think was the only company that existed that fitted what they were looking for. So I think the fit is, exceptional. And, of course, the lesson, because it's early, is that we don't know everything. So I think it's very important to be, to focus on some areas and listen to the customers very intently about what they want to do. But also, in many cases, the customers are afraid to do things, and because will they make the wrong decisions? Is that there's no, IoT is a lot of hype, but how are they going to monetize it? And are they going to make the wrong decisions, to pick the wrong protocols, pick the wrong devices? Oh my goodness, should it manage it at the edge or in the cloud? I just don't know. So what the PLAT.ONE capabilities bring to the table is that future proofing of those applications. You can make the wrong decision potentially, and still your apps will work if you change the way your technology is built, and you can get a prototype out quickly by plugging things together quickly. So in the hands of SAP, who has the biggest application base in the enterprise of any company, so people are coming to SAP all the time and saying, I want you to do my IoT strategy. Now combining these nice features of PLAT.ONE, I think a fit is really excellent, and it really helps to de-risk the customers' challenges and fears. They can get started without fear, and they know they're going to be well looked after by SAP.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Going forward, what do you think are the plans, for the Leonardo portfolio? How do you see that working out?
Yeah, I think that's an exciting, vision. I think it was needed, to bring everything together into a sort of seamless portfolio view in IoT that with a brand and a name. So I think that's a good move by SAP. I think the opportunity now is to try and turn that into an ecosystem where partners can build their applications on top of this platform, as well as just as well as us building internally. And I see the opportunity for SAP to be number one. Nobody has the portfolio of enterprise applications that SAP has. You've got your ERP, you've got your finance planning, your enterprise planning, your B2B networks, your human resource planning, and everything in those apps is about modeling things in the real world, people, supply chains, assets, but they don't talk to those real world assets. And now in this world, we can connect apps to assets very, I think, efficiently. So you can track your supply chain. You can, when you're doing a financial model to depreciate an asset like a factory or a mining truck, rather than do it over 5 years, you can actually talk to the asset and say, how much value is left in you? How much have you been used? How have you been used? So it's incredible new opportunities that allows massive disruptive differentiation, I think, if this is done well. So the existing apps of SAP can be, completely transformed by, their connection to the real world. But also, there's this, 2,500 application partners that might want to do that for a particular niche in SAP and connect to some assets in the in a supply chain context or in a logistics context. So little vendors, we want to do for the enterprise what Apple did for the App Store.
Yep.
And that's a very exciting opportunity. And I think the third piece of it is that SAP has this analytics portfolio. And the title of my book that I published, Thingalytics, it's about Internet of Things plus analytics. So, SAP's got these pillars. It's got apps, it's got analytics, and now Leonardo, you've got, a triangle in which you've got nobody else can bring these things together, I think, and if you can create the partner ecosystem on top of that, it's could be really amazing.
Yeah. If so, this is a bit of a wild question, but if I'm a manufacturer, or let's go to manufacturer of something, of X, I make widgets or whatever, and I've now got these connected widgets, how do I decide which data is the most valuable data and what to do with that data to make it worthwhile, even doing something with it? I guess it's a difficult one, because obviously different manufacturers manufacture different things. It depends who they sell to, etc. But it's a whole new paradigm for people. I mean, I was having a conversation with somebody recently about this, and we were talking about, even if you think of the, connected watches tracking heartbeats, and if I go into a doctor's surgery and he takes my heartbeat, he's got a snapshot of there and then. But if I were to share the last 3 years of heartbeat that I've recorded on this Fitbit, and I share that with the doctor's going to look at it and not have a clue. He's going to be far more, or she's going to be far more used to looking at that snapshot and won't have a clue how to handle 3 years of data. Manufacturers have got to be, and anyone else getting into this area, have got to be coming up with similar challenges.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, there's this noise about analytics and AI, but it's really about how do you package that to really find the hidden useful nuggets. I mean, to use your Fitbit example, I agree, 3 years of data. What are we looking for? However, I believe the most useful application you could ever have with that Fitbit is detecting, I've seen a pattern in your heartbeat that indicates you'll be having a cardiac arrest within 15 minutes. Please strap on the defibrillator vest, and I've called the ambulance for you. I mean, that there can't be any more useful alert than that. So it's, imagine that something's looking through your data. Imagine that you've downloaded an app from the App Store and you said, "Oh, can I send you notifications?" Yes. And then you get that one day. If it did, if it did happen to have value to you, it's incredibly useful. So it's those are the kind of things I think that partners, I think you can have specialists in analytics and and AI that can perhaps find these little patterns in data. And this is why we need the security, role-based security on this stuff, because different people will share different aspects of data from you with your permission, or your business with your permission, and do specific analysis or AI type patterns. So for the manufacturer of widgets, that might be quite straightforward. It might be something along the lines of, I've noticed the mean time to failure of this new, let's say blender is unusually high, and I've noticed that this pattern is occurring before a failure. So you might have that AI spotting something unusual, just analyzing data and just spotting unusual stuff, which then might be fed back to a human who might then put it into context, who might and then you might be able to do a product recall before you've shipped too many units, for example. Or you might be able to do a firmware upgrade, which is even better, which is more along the the line of what we expect from the Teslas and so on of this world. As a Tesla driver, I'm getting a bit spoiled and used to that. But so if we can spot these patterns, update it before it hits the customer, I think that's really useful. So there's lots of little, I think, tricks and pieces. I don't think there's one analytics package that we feed everything into and boil the ocean and it says, this. I think there's a few little interesting things that we'll plug in.
Yeah, a lot of it, I guess, will come from very specific use cases and machine learning. But even then, the machine learning has got to learn a specific scenario for a particular device. And
got it.
The analogy I say to people is that if you look back at the World Wide Web of kind of 94, 95, 96, no one would have been able to project forward from there to see Twitter and Facebook and all this kind of stuff. And I think we're at a very similar place with the Internet of Things now. I think we're at the kind of 94, 95, 96 of the Internet of Things.
I think so, and maybe even earlier. Because it's harder to get your hands around, isn't it? The IoT, because with the web, at least you could go to sites and they were sort of anchored. Whereas it's this, I've got these set of things I need to talk to, and there's more complexity in there. It's more of we need actually to simplify it a bit. That's why I think things like PLAT.ONE are, and what we're doing with SAP Leonardo, if we can apply, if we can make it into as simple as the web, then we've really, I think, helped to crack the problem. Because as you probably remember, coming from a computer science background myself, and having been in doing a PhD in distributed computing and everything, I mean, that stuff was, it was bloody hard stuff. Sure. And then suddenly along we had the internet for a long time. We were sending emails, but getting computers to talk to each other and everything, it was a black art and it was all very complex. Then suddenly along comes the web, and it was like very simple, and anyone could get their head around it. Great. That's what we need to do. That's what we need Leonardo to be.
Very true. What are the chances?
Well, it sounds great, doesn't it? But I think that's got to be the vision and the goal, hasn't it?
Yeah, it does. John, we're coming to the end of the show. If people want to reach out to you to know more about you or Leonardo or PLAT.ONE or anything like that, where would you direct them to go?
I think, very welcome to email me, but directly, John Bates at PLAT.ONE or John Bates at sap.com. But I think, go and have a look at what we're doing with Leonardo. I think there's information out there now. And, I think customers can go to directly to their let's say account managers with SAP, and they should be very familiar with this, because we've just gone through a process of briefing the whole SAP customer organization, and so they should be very familiar with this and should know how to connect and reach out to the relevant people.
Okay, and any final words? Anything that we haven't talked about that we should have talked about, or anything I should have asked that I didn't ask, or anything you think it's important that people be aware of?
I think we've covered the main points, but apart from to say that not all IoTs are the same. I think there's a lot of confusion out there. And I would really encourage people to think about factors like, how do they future-proof their applications? That's critical. How do they get stuff up and running quickly? How do they de-risk their project, and how do they experiment? But I would encourage people to get started, because you don't want to be the company that gets disrupted by a new upstart coming in, using the IoT. You don't want to be the taxi driver that gets Ubered or the hotel that gets Airbnb'd, if I use a B2C example. And there's a whole B2B world that's coming.
Yeah, very good. Okay, John, thanks a million for coming on the show. That's been awesome.
Ah, you're welcome. Thank you, sir.